Hello and welcome into the latest edition.
That's new. I got a fright.
Oh,
I've been on here.
We've got people with us now, Craig. We really do. We've got Craig Burley back with us as well.
Yeah.
Got Stevie Nicol here. Happy to have.
I'm so happy.
Buddy back.
I mean, I've been off. I've had another 10 days off, as you know, because I had some people. And the first thing I do, well, I go to my computer when I come in because I'm trying to fix something. And dangling in my ear is a man with a receipt for expenses. For the millionth time, it's gone wrong.
Again.
Hovering around, hoping that, because Dan's not here at the moment, he's not here today, hoping somebody's going to fix his problem for him.
Yeah.
Again.
Sorry, Stevie.
If you ever see him with a receipt walking towards you,
you know there's a problem.
Run.
Run away. We also have Julien Laurens with us as well. And we need Jules as well because, Stevie, Liverpool have finally made their move for Alexander Isak. Tell us more about it, Jules.
Yeah, that's right, Kate. We expected a first offer to come. We knew more or less how much money Newcastle were after for Alexander Isak, around 150 million euros, which is a lot of money. We've said it many times with Stevie on the show. Liverpool went a little bit lower than that, around 130 million euros, which is already a lot of money when you think that it's twice the price that Newcastle paid for him 3 years ago. So that's a lot of money, regardless of how great Alexander Isak has been the last few seasons. And we expect Liverpool to go again now that that first bid was rejected.
We've not had you here, Craig. How do you think Liverpool would look with Alexander Isak in the fold?
Well, I think Liverpool are already looking pretty good. I mean, they've made some big statements already with the signings. Ekitike, Frimpong, Kirkez, Florian Wirtz's been one of the standout signings from Germany. And when we thought the Ekitike deal was done, we thought, well, it's probably going to go away, Alexander Isak, and maybe Newcastle thought that was the case as well. But this, if Liverpool get it over the line, and obviously Newcastle at the moment are fighting it, what Alexander Isak is going to do remains to be seen, whether he's going to try and be aggressive and pushing it. I mean, we really don't hear of anybody putting transfer requests in these days. I mean, in the old days, that's how it used to work. You'd go in, you'd slap it on the table, and that would be it. Things get done more behind the scenes now with agents and negotiations, and some players go on strike and blah, blah, blah. But this is a huge statement this summer. This whole summer is a huge statement by Liverpool, who were the league champions last year, best team in England by far. This is saying, we're back in Arnie slot, we're not going away. We're not only going to try and dominate England, but we want to try and dominate Europe, like the team Stevie played in back in the day. And so this would be a huge statement if Liverpool got this over the line, because it's given them so many other options with the signings they've already made. So, yeah, I mean, it's aggressive, and obviously their spending falls within the PSR, so that should be fine. But it would be just a huge, huge statement. Of course, Newcastle fans, you know, they want him to stay, and it's, you know, if you're a Newcastle fan, you think it's the greatest place on earth because it's a great club and they have a great atmosphere and all that sort of stuff. But the allure of, you know, going to the Liverpools and, you know, the Barcelonas and Real Madrids and all these clubs that have won things for many a year, that's a lot for any player. You can't feel bad for a player if he says, like, I've been great here, this is a great club, but I really want to go somewhere that's not challenging for the Carabao Cup and winning it like Newcastle did, but going and being at the top of the tree, where, if we're being honest, it's unlikely Newcastle are really going to get in amongst that.
See, I agree with everything you've just said, right?
You don't want them?
I'm not saying I don't want them. And I think there's no question they are making a statement and a half.
Correct.
And this is a club, and the board and all the backroom staff, I don't remember the last time they made a mistake. They seem to be getting every single thing right, so single time. But
where are we then with this?
So my question, here's my question.
You want something more than this.
Well, here's my question.
You want a better version of an Isak?
No. My question is, are you spending? They want 150. Jules is saying they've offered 130. When you look at around the team, and you've got 130 million available, and you're going to spend it on something that the guy's brilliant, he scores goals. I mean, every team would love him in the starting lineup, But do Liverpool really need him now?
You got two
after getting Ekitike.
Well, you got two right backs. You got three left backs, as far as I'm aware.
Look at
two left backs. You've got. Where do you want?
You know the hole. You know the hole I'm talking about here, next to Van Dijk. Konate is.
But he was very good last year.
He was, but we don't have anybody else. If something happens to Van Dijk or Konate, Gravenberg's playing centre back, or somebody's going to have to fill in. That's my thing. I have no problem having Isak, but if you're going to spend a record amount, surely you should be doing it on something that you really need.
Surely
you've got a big hole at the back.
I know the two new lads have gone in, the recruitment, Edwards and Hughes, but surely this is coming from Arne Slot. I mean, they do the recruiting and the negotiations and all that sort of stuff. But you talk, I mean, they are talking. This is not like some clubs where they're off doing their own thing and the manager's sitting, kicking the door because he's not getting what he wants. There's clear discussion here, and I'm.
Should he not be asking the question I'm asking you, though? Should he not be saying, right, listen, I can use Isak. Don't worry about that. I can get this guy scoring goals. But you know what? If we get an injury at the back, we're scuppered.
Yeah. But
is that not the question he should be asking?
Well, that's my point. I would imagine that has been a long, drawn-out conversation, and then they have said, look, if he really felt that he was struggling in that department and he was superly worried about it, they would spend the money, or some of the money, in that position. So they've clearly had a discussion, and if 150 million is the last bit of gold in the pot, then they seem to me that they're going to use it on Isak, which tells me he hasn't got a concern at the other end, which may or may not come back to him.
Which is your fear.
That's a worry.
But Jules, have they got an eye on a centre-back?
Yeah, that's what I'm being told. There's still money left for a centre-back. You would expect, because Konate is still at the club, but let's not forget as well that Konate only has 1 year left on his contract currently, and the discussions or negotiations over an extension are not really going in the right direction right now. They might be able to be okay in January or February, a bit like what happened with Van Dijk and Salah, and Konate signs the extension and stays for another 2 or 3 years. But for now, that's not the case. So they will go for a centre-back, a third one that would be more of a backup of Virgil and Konate, and then with a view the following summer, depending on what happens with Konate's contract, to maybe then go and sign a big centre-back. But I'm being told there's still money for a centre-back, as well as if Isak arrives. You would expect Liverpool to up their offer probably to around 140 million euros, and you would expect really Newcastle to accept it, and then Isak to arrive at the club. Isak right now only wants Liverpool. He doesn't want to go anywhere else. He's training on his own in San Sebastian at La Real Sociedad training ground, just waiting literally for the move to happen to Liverpool. He's already spoken to Arne Slot. I think the personal terms have already been agreed between him and Liverpool, or certainly not far from it. So now it's just a case of Liverpool finding an agreement with Newcastle, and also Newcastle finding a replacement, whether that's Sesko, Watkins, Wissa. They've got a few names on the shortlist, but they also need to find a replacement before this whole deal for Liverpool and Isak to happen.
Do you want to deal?
That changes, right? That changes the whole discussion, because I didn't know that, and I'm trying to figure out how they've got more money left. If Jules is saying they've got more money left, even if they spend 140 on Isak, then that changes my complete narrative and how I look at the Isak signing completely. But do they, Jules? I mean, do they have more money?
I know. I'm like used to be, and we talked about it the other day together as well on the show, and they're saying they do. They had the money from Luis Diaz to come that arrived. Kwanzaa was a good sell, to be fair, for his age and his profile. They expect money for Darwin to come at some point. I'm not sure who is going to buy Darwin Núñez, but they are quite positive about finding a club that would welcome him. So that should be quite a significant fee coming into the Liverpool's account.
Wow.
And I think let's not forget as well that for the last 2 years, they didn't really sign anybody. They had 100 million ready for Caicedo. He chose Chelsea. They had some money ready for Zubimendi. He chose to stay at Real Sociedad. All that money is now ready to be spent by Liverpool, and this was always the plan. This summer was always going to be a big summer. Richard Hughes and Michael Edwards came back and arrived last summer. Barry Hunter just finished that trio of recruitment and that recruitment team, and they always planned for a big summer. This summer, that big, I don't think so, but certainly they thought it was going to be a big summer. This is the biggest transfer summer we've ever seen. If they do Isak, after all the names we mentioned already, I don't remember any club in England doing something as great and big as this, that much spending in the same summer. That would be something exceptional. But apparently they still have money for another centre-back. It might just be a £20 million centre-back, a £30 million centre-back, but as a backup again. But they said they still have the money for that.
They didn't bring in a lot of players, but they did bring in over the last, the captain of Hungary, Dominik Szoboszlai, from RB Leipzig. They brought in a World Cup winner and Alexis McAllister from Brighton. It wasn't huge figures, but the fact that they've run their ship in a manner where they're able to go out and obliterate, it seems at the moment, the rest of the Premier League with this summer spending is an amazing bit of business. And for all those teams that have strengthened and hoped for a better year, like Manchester City and Arsenal and Chelsea, they must be looking at Liverpool and going, really?
So let's take a look at Liverpool here. Do you see Ekitike and Isak playing in the starting 11 together, Craig?
Well, that would go out with what they've done over the last couple of years, even with the last few years, even before Arne Slot, when it was Jurgen Klopp. They've generally only had one player, sometimes a false nine up there. So I don't know. Obviously, Florian Wirtz is a guy who he can play in a wider position, but he's best to get the best out of him. You want to have him in the number 10, and of course Alexander Isak as well. Through the middle for Newcastle has done a fantastic job. So I don't know what Arne Slot's got up his sleeve in terms of who would play with who and who would start. But clearly, if Isak comes in at that price, as good as young talent as Ekitike is, then Alexander Isak, he starts. But it's formidable when you think that they've lost a couple of players. Trent Alexander-Arnold goes, Mo Salah was going to go, Luis Diaz has gone. Obviously, the tragedy that unfolded with the loss of Diogo Jota. Nobody's ever thinking anything like that. So, and from a football perspective, they not only lost a friend and a colleague. It's always a difficult thing to talk about this because it's a personal side of this with a loss of life. But there's also the football side where he was such a big player for Liverpool. Whether he was starting or coming off the bench, chipping in with goals and all sorts of other stuff. So they've got some positions to fill, and I think thus far are all around the field. They've done a very, very good job.
Now, when it comes to the other side of things, though, here, Jules, Newcastle have a bit of a problem on their hands at the moment. Isak out training in Spain. What's going to happen to them?
Well, they're actively looking for another number 9, and we know that Callum Wilson, whose contract was coming to an end, was not renewed either. So they don't have Isak, they don't have Wilson either. They've got Yango Sula, who's a good prospect, but nowhere near the level of Isak, certainly, but not even Callum Wilson in terms of experience of Premier League and goal-scoring records and things like that. So they probably don't need just one number 9, but actually 2 to come this summer if Isak goes. And they are very reluctant, obviously, to let Isak go. But there's also the case of, one, he doesn't want to stay. It's as simple as that. He doesn't want to be there. 2, it's a lot of money. Again, I said they bought him for £70 million 3 years ago. Now they will double that if he goes to Liverpool. So there's some offers that you can't really turn down. Let's be honest here. This is a business as well as football. So there's that. And as I mentioned earlier, Sesko is on their shortlist, but apparently right now he seems to prefer a move to Manchester United. There's Yohan Wissa, but Yohan Wissa is a good player, a good Premier League player. He had a really good season with Brentford last year with Mbomo. But is he really the replacement you want for Alexander Isak? Do you look at Ollie Watkins, for example, who's already 29, who will turn 30 in this season coming? Again, much older than Isak, slightly different profile, and you would expect Villa to still want quite a lot of money for him and in an international. So there's a lot of things right now happening at Newcastle on top of other positions that they are still trying to strengthen, which take time. So for Andy Howe and all his team at Newcastle, it's also a massive, massive few weeks coming up.
If they want the money, because they're trying to build themselves up so they can get in to the big 5 or the big 6, and obviously right now, because of the money side of it, they can't. So if they're desperate to get that 150 million, somebody like Ollie Watkins is going to have to be a stopgap, because they cannot afford to let Isak go without having somebody there. They just can't do it. For all the money they're going to make bringing Isak in, if they start the season with nothing else, that's going to affect them in the long run, which means they're going to lose money. They're not going to be in the top 4. So they're actually going to lose. The fact that they sell Isak without a replacement doesn't do them any favours, because the money they'll lose by not in the Champions League the following season is going to hurt them. So that negates all the money that they're going to get for Isak. So they don't have a choice. Newcastle cannot afford to let Isak go unless they have somebody in. And right now, Ollie Watkins seems the ideal stopgap, because you know he'll score goals, won't score as many as Isak, but you know what you're going to get. And if they don't get Sesko and they don't get Ollie Watkins, Isak can't be allowed to go. They just can't let him go.
It's still, again, we've talked about this before, you know, Newcastle with the Saudi investment, you know, things have obviously been on the up for them, and Eddie Howe's done a good job, and they're in the Champions League, so they are kind of mixing it with the top 5 or 6 at the moment. Although City sort of fell away a little bit last year, came stronger in the second half. It's just not a very good statement, is it, to your supporters that I know money talks. I know money talks, but there's not been too many times where your big star has been sold or has gone to the rival. You think back, you know, Van Persie going from Arsenal to Man United. There have been some, but it doesn't happen a lot. And what we have here is a club in Newcastle that are trying to build. Obviously, they have more PSR problems than some of the clubs, right. So that comes into it. But you're still selling your star asset, no matter how much money you're getting, to the best team in England at the moment. And it's just not a good signal in terms of, you know, people will paint it a certain way. Well, we'll take the money, we're going to put it this, we're going to do this, we're going to buy younger players, which Ollie Watkins is not if he goes. I mean, Ollie Watkins' form fell off in the second half of last season. There is no doubt about that. He was a bit hit and a miss, and he's certainly no Alexander Isak. If it's a stopgap with Watkins and the money's right, I'm okay with that. But if it's, you know, 50 or 60 million, maybe more than that for a 29-year-old who did not have a great 6 months last year for sure, then that's a problem. Sesko, and Jules is right, Sesko looks like he wants to go to Man United. That's just because it's a bigger, worldly, better-known club. It's not because they're a better team. But that would be a better fit with the profile, with the age and spending the money and maybe the sell-on value like they're getting possibly for that Alexander Isak. So they really are in a difficult position, Eddie Howe and Newcastle at the moment, because they did such a good job last year. They were pretty consistent most of the way through the season. And if they get it wrong, and if they leave this hanging a long time, late into this transfer window, then the start of the season could be a huge worry for him, almost like pulling the rug from under him. And when that happens to a manager, it's not a good sign. No,
you can keep your eye on everything that's going on in the transfer window over on our website, Transfer Talk. Stay up to date with Liverpool's moves and who Newcastle have got their eye on over there. We must go on to talk about Jadon Sancho and a possible return for a third time to Borussia Dortmund. We could talk about Joao Palhinha as well. To Spurs on a season-long loan from Bayern. Let's say what shall we do? Let's stick with Jadon Sancho. Let's go with Jadon Sancho. So, Jules, I want to get more information on this from you, if I can. Jadon Sancho possibly going back to Borussia Dortmund for a third time. Is the club as keen as him?
Well, so he's very keen, that's for sure. He's ready to take a pay cut as well to go back to Dortmund, where, let's be honest, I know he's a very good player, but this is the only place really where things have worked out for him. Not at Chelsea, not at Manchester United, but only at Dortmund. First spell, second spell was still good when they reached the Champions League final. And I think he wants to be happy again. He wants to play, and this is a place that he knows and that he knows well. They know him too. Things have changed. It's a different manager. It's a slightly different mindset than when he was there the first time round and then the second time round again. But they are obviously looking for a player like him because they sold Gittins to Liverpool, for example. So they are after wingers like Jadon Sancho. If you watch what he did at Chelsea for last season and the fact that, for example, they were not ready to pay Manchester United £25 million for him. Instead, we're very happy to pay £5 million in compensation for not signing him permanently. You realise that his season was pretty poor. So if you're Dortmund, it's still a bit of a gamble, but at least you know that it seems there's something that he likes in Dortmund because he's pretty good when he plays there.
Do you think that they look at it and go, OK, Chelsea didn't want to keep him, even though he'd been delivering somewhat for them. Manchester United don't want him. Why would we want him?
I look at Jadon Sancho recently with the move between clubs, and Man United's a common theme here for some of these players. But I do, to me, and they're not the different type of players, but he just, to me, has Marcus Rashford written all over it. It's like almost letting his career just sort of willow away. And
So he might end up at Barcelona.
yeah, I don't think he's the luckiest guy footballer on the planet getting that move, and we'll see how that pans out when the La Liga season starts. But you know, you remember that time as well. He made a rod for his own back. You know, there's a common theme here with this Man United problem, and it's attitude. And do you remember he fell out with Ten Hag and he refused to? And listen,
he refused to apologise.
He refused to apologise. And there's two sides to every story. There always is. And we said this at the time. I think we had this discussion. Is look, sometimes you have to swallow it because you've got a career. Because clubs the size of Man United and others can destroy you. And you know, it's not easy for them to sit with a player who is out of the loop and he's getting paid a lot of money, but a lot of these big clubs can do it. And we just felt at the time it was like he was getting badly advised. And I just feel the latter part of his career is like been bad advice, bad attitude, bad decisions. And I think that sort of transcended onto the field, where we haven't seen this player from 4 or 5 years ago when he was this guy taking people on all the time. He was super confident. He was doing stuff that would sort of make you sit up a little bit. So no, I would be surprised if Dortmund took him back. I mean, he's desperate. He's talking about taking pay cuts, which is admirable, to be fair. But I think he realises he's in a position where none of the real big guys that can afford to pay his wages want him, and those numbers really don't hit home, do they? For a player who has got the talent, but you have to question whether he's got the right mentality to pick up his career again. I'm not sure he has.
Are you surprised that he was willing to take a pay cut to facilitate to move back to Dortmund?
Well, yeah, but it doesn't kind of make a lot of sense, you know. Either, I mean, as far as I was aware, Chelsea had wanted to sign him, but they were similarly didn't want to pay him what he was getting, and he didn't want to take a pay cut to go there. So has he just decided in his own mind that, well, if I don't go to Chelsea, I'll always be able to go to Dortmund? And if I'm going to take a pay cut, I'd rather go to Dortmund. I mean, that's the only thing I can think that has been going through his mind, why he wouldn't sign for Chelsea. And now he's because of his decision making.
Well, Chelsea didn't want him, Stevie.
Well, apparently they did. Apparently they offered him something and it was a big wage cut as well. Somebody came on the show and said that. I didn't make it up myself. But regardless, his actions and the way he is, he's putting himself in a position where people, without even knowing really the whole ins and outs, just don't want anything to do with him. That's kind of where he's going with his actions. And
he's almost like, you know, he's almost like another Joao Felix, isn't he? The more places he goes on loan, the more places he goes to try and resurrect, and the worse he does, and when he doesn't make an impact, then Joao Felix is like that. I mean, how many people have seen the Joao Felix movie? And Chelsea incredibly went back in there, but again, there was some sort of, you know, financial side to how that was all evolving. But, you know, when Joao Felix went to Milan, did anybody really think that was going to be...
Well, they all
it's going to work out.
We all went, well, we know what's going to happen here. And in some sense, Jadon Sancho's in that boat, that, you know, 2 or 3 clubs have had a good look at him again, and 2 or 3 clubs have thought, no, he's not offering enough.
So one player who's looking like going the other way is Joao Palhinha. Spoiler alert, you probably saw his profile come up a little bit earlier on, leaving the Bundesliga with a return to the Premier League on loan to Spurs, Jules.
Yeah, I mean, this was just one of those transfers that didn't fit in really. That was never going to work out for him at Bayern Munich. Remember, Tuchel really wanted him the summer before, then didn't happen. He joined him in last July, so in 2024, and he's hardly played. He's had injuries. He was never a good fit for Vincent Kompany, and certainly the way that Bayern under Kompany were playing, it's just not the fact that he's a bad player. He's not a bad player. That was just a bad context for him and for the qualities that he had. So it's a good move. It's a good move for him to come back to the Premier League to a club like Spurs. I think it's a good move from Spurs and from Thomas Frank to have somebody like him in that number 6 position, considering the players that they already have in that kind of area or position who are not as defensive-minded as Palhinha is. So Bissouma is a good player, Sarr is a good player, Bergwijn is a good player, but nobody really is a destroyer defensively, like a proper holding midfielder than like Palhinha. So I think that could work for them, and it's certainly an option. It's a loan with an option to buy, so you don't take too much risk either. So let's see how it goes, but this could work really well, I think.
I think this is a really good signing.
All right.
Joe's just mentioned those players. The players that have been in there, Bentancur, Bissouma and Sarr. I mean, they've got. It's almost like they had carte blanche just to go and do what they wanted. I mean, Bentancur being probably the deeper of them. But you watch Rodrigo Bentancur is a very good player. I mean, good passer of the ball. But he makes some ridiculous challenges. He charges around, and they actually need somebody, and they did need somebody, and they have done for the last couple of years, that actually wants to sit in front of the back four and sort of direct the traffic a little bit. They've had 3 midfielders in there that have just been harem scarum. And very experienced midfielders just go off running all over the shop, leaving these huge gaps. And if you look back, particularly to the job he did at Fulham, he was excellent in there. I think he's a very good player. This would be a smart move for Thomas
It's
Frank.
definitely horses for courses with Palhinha. He loves doing that. As Craig said, he doesn't want to go running in the box and run wide and score goals and do it. He's quite happy to be the destroyer, get the ball, make it simple, and give it to the players who are supposed to do that. This is absolutely horses for courses, and with a 30 million option, seems like a no-brainer.
Not bad at all. It won't be long until we actually do get to see the Bundesliga back in action on ESPN Plus, as the season is almost upon us. Kicks off with Bayern Munich against Leipzig on August 22nd. And as always, all of these games will be available for the opening weekend on ESPN Plus. Keep up to date with all the latest ins and outs over on our YouTube channel, ESPN FC. Future of Eze, if we can. Julien Laurens is with us. It's perfect, Craig. It's like you've never been away. Let's talk about whether
Don't tell me it's Liverpool.
Be going to Arsenal. You said it. Could he be going to Arsenal, Jules?
Yeah, I think that's a possibility. There have been talks for a little while now. We know that Crystal Palace won around £60 million for Eze, which is the price. We've said it all summer of those kind of wide players, although he's not really a wide player. He's more of a 10 that has been playing wide in the system that Oliver Glasner has played at Palace. But this is the kind of price that you would expect for somebody like him. So Spurs, who missed out on Morgan Gibbs-White, who stayed at Forest in the end, are also looking at somebody like Eze and that kind of profile. So it'd be very interesting to see. I think on one hand, he'd be happy to stay because there's Europe for him on the back of this incredible FA Cup campaign last year. And I think on the other hand, he feels it's the right time for him to go to something bigger, to Palace, where the club was great for him, obviously giving him his chance in the Premier League, but he's probably too big for them now. So it'd be very interesting to see the next, like Craig said, the next few days, to see if he is there when they play the Community Shield at Wembley now in 10 days' time, or if he's nearing to a move somewhere else.
And if Arsenal do this, Jules, would this be that would be it would be a closed shop, the money spent, they're all set for the season, or would they be looking to do anything if they got Eze late into the transfer window?
No, I think that would be... Then I guess they can respond to departures maybe, but right now the only other position that they're looking to sign somebody in is that kind of left side position, left winger, somebody like Eze. They like a bit of pace too, but they got that on the other side massively. So on the left-hand side, I think somebody like Eze is the kind of profile that they're really keen on.
You'd have to say though, wouldn't you? But you know, Arsenal were a little bit off last year, but they're a good side. They're a good side. We know that. And looking at what they've done, looking at what Liverpool have done, I mean, it could be... I mean, if we're thinking, depending on how City resurrect themselves and if Chelsea can continue with the sort of excitement that surrounding them at the Club World Cup, which is going to be difficult, Liverpool and Arsenal look like two juggernauts in the Premier League, don't
100%. Yeah, 100%.
And this is the time for Eze to be going to a club like Arsenal, Stevie?
I think so. You know, I think he's served his apprenticeship. He's done his time. Now is the time where he and we need to find out if he can step up to one of the big boys and be able to produce it week in, week out because it's expected when you play for an Arsenal or a Liverpool or a City or a Madrid or whatever it is right now. So he's proved to everybody that he's capable. Now he has to prove on the big stage that he can do it consistently. And there's no better place to go right now than Arsenal. And he would play. You know, Madueke's gone there. I don't think Madueke plays. I'm pretty sure they're not 100% sure on Martinelli. So if they sign Eze, I'm 100% certain Eze would start for them.
But and the other side to that is Martinelli is a bit hot and cold. I mean, sometimes when he's hot, he looks great, and when he's a little bit off, his consistency level is not where it needs to be. And Trossard has done a great job, obviously, but Trossard always feels like he's a squad player, can play pretty much everywhere. What Eze does, and we've talked about this before, he's different. He's different to even Saka on the right side. He's different to Martinelli. He's different to Trossard. He's a wide player that looks to come infield quite a lot and get in that little pocket behind the midfield. And he can pick a pass and he can score a goal. We've seen him with some great goals from outside the box. We've seen him with some great delivery. So he's different. He's not that pacey wide player. Saka's a wide player that takes people on. Martinelli's a wide player that takes people on. I would say Eze's a little bit different to that. He's a different type of player. And I think that's a good thing for Arsenal to have that mix, not to have, replacing somebody with a bit of speed with somebody else with a bit of speed. It would be able to, if things were not going to plan in a certain area or a certain game, you've got the ability to not only change personnel, but change the profile of the player that's coming on to the field. And that's why I think, for all the things Stevie said, he's a terrific footballer. He's an England international as well now, has been for some time. He has been the star man at Palace. It is now time to make the move and move into the real big boy stuff. Is
it now time for Arsenal? They secured the services of Victor Gyökeres. Where do you think that puts their title chances?
Well, I mean, for me at the moment, Liverpool are favourites because of what they did last year and what they have done over the summer. It's been immense. But there is no doubt that this Arsenal side are absolutely capable. If Liverpool do not perform as well, I think, put it one way, I think you have to finish above one of these two to win the league.
There's not a lot of question marks for Arsenal, is there? I mean, there's not.
Back four's great, goalkeeper's been solid,
yeah. Middle of the park,
solid. Yeah. Got the striker they want. Havertz is still there. You're beefing up the squad. And that's the other side of it. It's not just, there's the starting 11. It is what's in the well when I have to go to the well. What is there? When it's Christmas time or it's January and you're going head to head with Liverpool or whoever it is, and a few players are tired, or somebody's got a hamstring problem. We saw Saka out for 4 months last year. Martin Odegaard lost a little bit of form, particularly in the bigger games. Where can I go? Who can I bring in that's going to make a difference? And I think that is going to be the difference between Arsenal pushing Liverpool all the way and potentially winning it and not, is the fact that if Mikel Arteta can turn around and go, right, he's going to come in and do me a job, I know he is, then they're going to be in a very good position, which I think they are.
OK, another bit of transfer news to tell us about, Jules. Matt Turner returning to the Revs.
I mean, this is an incredible story. And really, in 20-odd years of doing transfers and stuff every summer, I've rarely seen anything like that, to the point that I just need to explain it and do it as simple as I can. But he was obviously a Forest goalkeeper, number 2. John Textor, who at the time was still the owner of Lyon and had done a lot of business with Forest, and their owner, Marinakis, had decided to buy and to sign for Lyon Matt Turner for 10 million euros, which is a lot of money for a goalkeeper who never plays, really, let's be honest, and who would have come to Lyon as a number 2. So already the amount is a bit surprising. The thing is, then John Textor got sacked basically by Lyon and had to step down. The new people coming in at Lyon saying, hang on, this deal doesn't make any sense. We don't want to spend 10 million euros on a goalkeeper that's going to be a number 2 or maybe even a number 3. Why are we signing this guy? They tried to break the contract that they'd agreed with Forest for Matt Turner, couldn't do it legally, so they still had to sign him and pay that money, but didn't want him anywhere, their team or their club. So find a way of loaning him out to MLS, to the Revs, as you mentioned, who would pay the whole wages of Matt Turner, which is what Lyon were asking for, because they just didn't want to have to pay a penny for him, because they didn't want him in the first place. This was just a John Textor signing, which in modern football is unbelievable that just somebody who owns a club decides to sign somebody without any other people in that club agreeing with him.
Right, yeah.
But wasn't John Textor the guy who was also he was ousted at Palace, was he not, Jules?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Right, wasn't Matt Turner on loan at Palace as well?
Yeah, exactly. And there's a lot of things we could go through.
I'm just, I'm saying like this, yeah.
Like the rabbit hole. Yeah.
Why was
And I don't think we should go down too far.
Probably not
Why was
today.
Matt Turner going there anyway if it wasn't going to be number one?
Go down that rabbit hole. today,
Honestly,
okay?
it's like-
And here's another one. Here's another rabbit hole. How the hell can the Revs pay? I mean, I'm presuming he's not on buttons. How can they pay that money?
Yeah, Stevie.
Well, Jane, they know what they like with rules, unless it's messy.
We're going to let Jules relax now. It looks like you're in another one of your holiday homes, Jules, so we'll let you get back to it.
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks so much for joining us. Welcome into the latest edition of Extra Time. Stevie's here and Craig is back as well.
No Jules. Jules gone.
Jules is gone. One of his many holiday homes.
Part-timer.
Half a shift.
Stevie, if you're Liverpool, do you offer a second bid for Isak over the next few days or wait for Newcastle to soften their stance first?
Well, I suggest we're getting to the stage where if you want them to start the season playing for you, you need to get them in. So I would expect them to make another offer and get on with it. I mean, the fact that Jules is telling us that even if Liverpool sign Isak, they still have more money to buy a centre-back, get on with it. Get them signed.
Okay.
Yep.
Start, bench or sell these centre-back pairings. Ramos and Pepe, Piqué and Mascherano, Terry and David Luiz. Who's your pick and why?
Why would you put Piqué and Mascherano and not Puyol and Piqué?
Because he did go back and play there for a period.
Puyol and Piqué played together for, what, 8 years?
Well, Mascherano was a midfielder, wasn't he? But he did go back and play that position. But I don't know.
So does that mean you sell them?
I would say Ramos and Pepe. Ramos and Pepe start. Bench. Bench Piqué and Mascherano because Mascherano's not a centre half, and I'm dropping John Terry and David Luiz, not because of John Terry, because John Terry was one of the best, but I was never a huge fan of David Luiz.
You're the same?
Yeah, I think so. I'm the same as Craig. I mean,
Right.
Puyol and Piqué were better than Mascherano and Piqué, but yeah, David Luiz defensively was okay. He was fantastic with the ball at his feet. So yeah, I'm going with yeah.
Do you think Real Madrid, Craig, was justified to ask the Spanish Federation to have their league opener be postponed since they played in the Club World Cup?
No.
Season's not even started, and
100
they're wanting
knows,
stuff.
100 knows, that's their choice. That was their choice. Their choice was about money. Their choice was about trying to paper over their poor season by saying, hey, we've won the Club World Cup, which they didn't even come close to because they're not good enough. They also used the Club World Cup and played Jude Bellingham when he should have been having surgery and been ready for that first game. Well, why don't they ask the league if they'll postpone the season? Because some players won't be fit. It's ridiculous. But I feel we're going to have another year, another season of this sort of in-house bickering from particularly Real Madrid, but it might be Barcelona as well. I don't know, but they do seem the worst at the moment. When you think about last year,
Can't help themselves, can they?
what was it? They wrote the letter. Last year's biggest debacle, amongst many, was the insinuation in the letter about the referees,
The rest.
just calling the credibility, basically, of the whole Spanish refereeing authorities. It's a conspiracy. Basically, that's what they're saying. It just fuels the fire, and we said it at the time. They need to rise above this kind of thing. In whose mind do they sit here and say, hey, everybody just bend over for us. Everybody just, move things for us. It just beggars belief that the arrogance that they have.
Lots more drama on the way very soon as La Liga
And
returns.
they've got a few arrogant players as well. Maybe this arrogance is just seeping through the whole club, and that's why they were the way they were last year. Just difficult for me to say.
No easy.
No easy. They were. It's not easy. Trust me.
Okay, Stevie, if you had to bet on one top Premier League club to flop next season, which one would it be? A top one.
Chelsea,
Oh,
the world champions. Doesn't get any topper than that, does it? World champions. So it could be them.
Okay.
Yep.
Any thoughts, Craig?
yeah, it could be them. It could be City.
Again?
Whether they've addressed their defensive issues, and whether Guardiola is sitting there watching Liverpool and Arsenal go out and really strengthen, has the desire to go and battle them again. I don't know.
Start, bench, drop, sell in an ESPN FC foot race. Shaka, Stevie, Craig and Jules.
Oh, today. If we did it tomorrow. Is that the question?
Yeah, well, we can do it both ways.
Well, I think it's safe to say, and I'm going to say this, and I mean this. I think the non-footballer in there is probably going to have to start.
Yeah.
Jules.
Because his knees are probably not as messed up as you like.
Yeah, well, we can't run.
And I'm going to say this. I mean, it's a bit like getting chased with a lion, isn't it? or a tiger or a big black bear here in Connecticut. You don't have to be faster than the bear. You just have to be faster than the guy next to you. And as bad as things are for my body, I think I'm faster than him.
He probably has.
But I don't think I'm faster than the goalkeeper, which is a worry.
It's never good to get beaten by a goalie.
No, but I think
running.
I think Jules and Shaka would.
Jules, Shaka, Craig.
I don't know. Maybe I mean he's given me 10 years, but I think I'm not in great shape. That being said,
I don't know. Your back would go easy.
Okay, that being said, are you going to go in your prime?
On your prime, I would win.
yeah,
Right?
I wasn't super quick.
Right.
That's all. But we're not in my prime.
So the question is, who would win between Shaka and Jules? That's the question. Because I would win that race in our prime. You'd be second. Who would be third? Would it be Shaka or Jules? That's the question. And it would depend on the length. Because if it's over a distance, I would suggest Shaka would probably win it.
I reckon I couldn't get more than 40 or 50 yards before my calf gave way on my back one. That's a problem.
Shaka didn't he get a really low pace on his FIFA card? Am I mistaken there? I feel like he did. Yeah.
Is it goal?
Yeah, but slow and steady wins the race, you know what I mean? It could be Jules.
The hair in the
Jules
tortoise.
is maybe more of a bit of a...
But today we're going Jules, Shaka, Craig, Stevie.
Yeah.
On today's fitness.
Today's fitness.
About right, yeah.
Well, back in the day,
You'd probably
Stevie
beat
would
me
have
in the
charged them on me.
If you were in that, you'd probably beat me and all.
In my heels as well. Craig, Premier League is saying it will not reduce teams to 18 to satisfy FIFA that domestic football is more important. Do you agree?
What have I missed? What have I missed?
They want them to take two teams away, basically. They want
I thought you were talking about squads.
No, 18,
Oh, they want to...
18 teams, because you know that we see 18 teams and it's been suggested in some...
Hold on, FIFA want to do this?
Bundesliga, where people are suggesting that there's too much football, would this be an answer?
Hold on. The people that are causing the problem
yeah.
are asking others to solve the problem, basically.
Yeah.
Gianni Infantino, I mean, Sepp Blatter was Sepp Blatter and whatever he did and all that stuff. This guy, Infantino, he's oblivious to everything else going on around him. He's just living in a bubble. He's just created the most contrived 32-team tournament that was needless and there was no point for it, and all it did was give players extra travel and extra games at the end of a long, hard season, and he wants others to reduce how they run their business. I mean, he really is a card, isn't he? I'm telling you that now. And he's increasing, by the way, the FIFA World Cup, I can't remember which one. I think it might be the one in North America here, but then it's in US, it's in Canada, it's in Mexico, and then have we not got one coming up where they're going to be going to South America? There's going to be a game in South America, there's going to be a game in this country, a game in that country. This guy is just sending people all over the shop. Sometimes people like that are not worth talking about.
Yeah, Craig's with the Premier League on this one. What separates Manchester United from other big Premier League clubs' downfalls like Leeds and Nottingham Forest?
Because United
They've got more money, haven't they?
Because United are, I've had an argument or a debate that they have been the biggest commercially club in the world. Now that may have changed, but you know, United have, you know, these teams have been big teams in England, and they've had you. Obviously, you know, Forest is a, you know, what Forest did will never be repeated. You know, back-to-back champions and coming up out of the first division, the old second division at the first, and winning it under Brian Clough. But it's essentially a small club. You know, it doesn't really. You travel around the world, and not many people talk about Nottingham Forest. So that's the difference. United are even still, in some sense, a global juggernaut, just not on the field.
Start, bench or drop? Bobby Charlton, George Best, Kenny Dalglish.
You can have this one.
Oh, that's a tester.
That's more than a tester.
I mean, you've got to start Kenny Dalglish.
But this is the problem.
You've got to start Kenny.
George Best was arguably, some would say, was the best player in the world. All right, he was an alcoholic and his career went down. And Bobby Charlton, at the time, World Cup winning.
Yep.
But you can't have Kenny on the phone to you, can you? I know what you're saying.
See, the thing is,
Kenny was just a great player.
right,
That's why I left this one to him. I'm out.
Right, of the three of them, right?
I'm out.
Of the three of them, if you were to pick them on their very best day, you'd go with George Best. The problem with George Best is that it's the period of time where he produced that type of performance, whereas Charlton and Dalglish were doing it week in, week out for decades. That's what separates them. In terms of individualism, George Best, but in terms of, I mean, playing at a world-class level for 15 years. I mean, George can't even get close to 5 years, maybe. But yeah, I'd have to go Dalglish, Charlton, then Best. But as I said, on the best day, yeah, it would be Best.
You think about Bobby Charlton winning the World Cup when his brother was in the same team, Jack. I mean, do you ever hear the quote, Jack Charlton, when he was at one of the awards? He got quite emotional, and we can argue this, but do you remember this, Steve? He says, yep. He said, Bobby Charlton's the best player was the best player in the world, and he went, and he was my brother. And it was like, you know, it's like that family.
Yeah.
But he's right. I mean, Kenny Dalglish was something else as well. I mean, I said, listen.
That was my first pair of boots, Georgie Best.
And if it was...
They're still hanging up in my school, in my primary school in Scotland. They're hanging up in the corridor. Yep. That's how good George was.
I mean, that's fair, the way he's entered it. But yeah,
oh, yeah.
That was a
I know, you
difficult
could
one,
put
which is why he left it to you.
Oh, as soon as I saw that, I was like, that's a tough one.
For the entire panel, which of these UK cities would you go to for a weekend getaway and why? Nottingham, Sheffield, Leicester, Dundee, Aberdeen, Stirling, Cardiff, Swansea and Newport.
Well, where's Barcelona and Madrid?
I think that's the point, isn't it?
Hold on.
Hold on a second.
Hold on. I'm definitely punching for the East Midlands because obviously I spent 15 years in Nottingham and still. But looking at places, with all respect, you're not going to Cardiff and Swansea or Newport. And Wales. Stirling's a nice place in Scotland. It's very picturesque, not a lot going on. And that's about it. I would say Nottingham and Stirling.
Stevie?
Not Sheffield, I'm not a big fan.
Sheffield's a good night out.
Sheffield is a surprisingly good night out.
I go Stirling and Sheffield.
Oh, yeah, but it's not a night out question. It's a
weekend getaway.
A weekend.
But it's kind of.
Well, when you went to Dublin, you went for you went for a weekend. You didn't go for.
But it's like how walking around the city and taking in the
sights,
the history.
The history in Nottingham, obviously.
That changes the whole thing. You're talking about from that point of view, doesn't it?
Cardiff's a fun weekend if there's football involved.
Right.
Listen, the only thing, whenever I go to Wales, I'm not.
There's not a lot going on in the Swans.
They love fighting down there amongst themselves.
They do, aye.
Yeah, I'm just biased because Middlesbrough won their only ever cup in Cardiff, and we had a great time.
Aye.
So, but
They like
yeah,
a fight.
To be fair,
They like a fight and a sing-song.
to be fair though, Cardiff is a massive upgrade for you.
from Middlesbrough.
Yeah, anywhere,
Like a
anywhere,
posh
isn't it?
weekend getaway for us lot that weekend.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Maybe we'll go with Craig then. Nottingham.
Well,
Sterling.
Sterling is.
Sterling's a nice place.
Sterling.
Yeah, it's a nice
All right,
place.
Sterling. Okay, we must get there. Not done
Yeah.
that one yet.
Yeah.
All right, thank you so much for sending in your questions. We'll be back tomorrow to do it all over again.